Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in our Fortnite video, and in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to improve your aim and also how to abuse aim assist, just like how you're seeing in this clip right here. Absolutely lasered this player I was going against, beamed him with the pistol, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly the best ways to use aim assist and to abuse it and to pretty much just use it to your best advantage possible so that you guys can win a lot more gunfights, hit a lot more shots, and also do a lot more damage. So definitely stay to the end of the video because I have very specific tips in this video that can really help you guys out a ton if you are looking for ways to maybe improve your accuracy with controller. I definitely have quite a few in this video. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway. I'm going to be giving away 2,000 V-Bucks. And if you guys want a chance to enter this giveaway, all you guys have to do is to drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel, turn on my post notifications, and as well leave a comment down below of either your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account, and you guys will be entered into the giveaway. So make sure you guys do enter if you guys want a chance to win. And alright guys, let's go right to the video. Alright, so here in this video, I want to be teaching you guys how to abuse the aim assist that you have and to hit a lot more shots and high damage shots. And I kind of mentioned this in a few videos before, but I need to be very, very clear because a lot of you guys ask me, how do you have such good aim? How you're able to hit a lot more shots? And of course, practice does make perfect. It definitely takes a lot of practice to hit a lot more shots. But when you are in the settings on your controller, they do make all the difference in the world. So right now I'm currently on linear. I think legacy is still better for a lot of reasons, but the reason why I'm on linear I'll get into in a moment. So here on linear, you have to understand the aim assist is very different on linear than opposed to legacy. So linear and exponential is the same aim assist as opposed to the the old settings, the aim assist on there. It's very, very different, which means you want to have a very different play style when you're using each, or you want to have a different play style depending on what controller setting that you have, which aim assist that you have, because it really does make all the difference. Because here on linear, there's two advantages that you have on this compared to legacy, and the first one is going to be hip fire accuracy, specifically hip fire, right? So hip fire point blank accuracy, it's going to be like 10 times stickier and 10 times more effective than using legacy. So when it comes to point blank shots, very, very close shots that are hip fire shots, there are going to be way more easy to hit consistently because the aim assist is much stronger in that direction or in that range. And on top of that, when you're on linear, it's 100% consistent, so flick shots are easier. So you have easier flick shots, and also you have a stronger aim assist on top of that. So point blank range with shotgun shots or even SMG shots are going to be very, very strong on linear. So if you do heavily rush or play very, very, like really aggressive, I'm talking like really in their face type of playstyle, which is the kind of playstyle that I have. It makes sense to play on linear because this is going to be the absolute best strong suit of this aim assist. So if you do play on linear, you have to play very, very aggressive if you want to utilize the aim assist for it, and if you want to be the best, hit the most shots to be the best player possible, because you always want to take the advantages that you have. Because if you have an advantage with close range hip fire, then you don't want to be taking long range ADS shots. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not going to be very effective, and it's just not going to work. Also, on top of that, on linear, the tracking is much stronger when it comes to that medium range. So tracking is, after you ADS, just how sticky it is when moving left to right, just tracking the other player as I'm doing here, it's a lot more strong here on linear. So when you are maybe have a P90 or maybe in a assault rifle for mid-range, it's going to be very, very easy if you already are aiming down your sights to hit your shot, just because the tracking on linear or exponential is very strong. So that's going to be the biggest upside of those aim assist. And of course, some people do like linear better for building and editing. Personally, I think legacy is better for a few reasons, which I'll get into a little bit later. I think it's better, but arguably it is probably one of the best things to use for building and editing. So linear also does have that little bit of advantage as well. I think it's really, really bad for a few edits, which I'll explain a little bit later as well. But overall, linear is very, very good for consistent and on practicing here. Flick shots are extremely consistent, super easy to hit. The aim assist is much stronger close range hip fire, so you have shotguns, SMGs, point blank shots that are going to hit for way more damage and be a lot more on target. So you're going to be having way better aim up close than you would if you had Legacy. So when it comes to close range fights, if you're playing very, very aggressive consistently, now I'm not talking maybe like, because most gunfights are going to be shotguns or shotgun based, but if you feel like you always play extremely overly aggressive on the other player, you're a W type of player, you're a W key aggressive type of player, linear is probably going to be your best move because that is the strongest point of aim assist. Because if you're always playing aggressive and you're on the old settings, you're not going to have that same pull, you're not going to have that same aim assist, and you're not going to be as consistent whatsoever compared to linear, because you're only going to be able to be so good. So for example, back to the aim assist. So if you're playing on linear and someone else is playing on legacy, you can take the exact same skill level between the two players, but when it comes to hitting the shots, just because the aim assist is much stronger on linear for hip fire point blank, that player is going to be hitting way more shots. Even if they could have the exact same accuracy, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot more consistent for that linear player to hit their shots as opposed to the legacy player, even if they had the exact same skill. So that's why in a lot of my gameplays and my live streams, I'm able to hit so many shots because I really utilize the advantages of the specific aim assist that I have. And so here on Legacy, the obvious reasons why some people would use it, because you can L2 spam in a way. Once you press L2, it goes in between and it pretty much auto rotates to the other player, which is very, very effective. It allows for a lot of headshots, a lot of body shots, but the tracking is not as good. So the biggest advantage here is after you aim down sight. So when you press LT, it rotates over to the other player. But after that, the tracking isn't as good. And on top of that, when it comes to hip fire, as you can see here, it's just it's basically none. You wouldn't even notice it. There's like no aim assist whatsoever. Plus, if you're on on Legacy, the old settings, you have a different X and Y sensitivity, and just based on the slowdown, it's just not the same. It's not equal whatsoever. So hitting flick shots on Legacy is going to be much, much more tough. And of course, it still can be done, but it's a lot more difficult to hit it on Legacy than opposed to linear. So if you are on Legacy, I think it's best, especially for like cash cups, the winner the competitive playlist. 100% Legacy is going to be the go-to and something that I will be 100% playing on in a lot of these cups and these winner royales and stuff like that. I will 100% be playing on Legacy for these tournaments and competitive play. And also, it can be very, very good when it comes to mid-range LT. So maybe even close range if you go for a quick L2 ADS type of shot, which I'll demonstrate in a second. But when it comes to that close range, if you're constantly going for hip fire shots, it's not going to be as strong. It's harder to flick shot, and it's not going to be as strong or as sticky. So you do have to keep that in mind greatly when you are using Legacy. Long range is going to be extremely effective. You're going to be beaming guys for hundreds of damage constantly from range because it is very effective and very strong when it comes to the Legacy move. And so here are just like the settings I have for Legacy. And personally, I really do like edit mode aim assist, and I do like to have the higher edit mode sensitivity. I feel like it's a lot better for editing for a lot of reasons, but that's kind of besides the point. So for me, I think Legacy building and editing is better. Most people would disagree with it, but I personally think because there's a few edits that are much, much easier to do with edit mode aim assist and a high editing sensitivity than opposed to linear or exponential. I feel like there's a few edits that you're going to have an advantage on. So personally, I like it a little bit more. So as you can see here, I'm just demonstrating the tracking a little bit, and it's just not as strong as as compared to linear or exponential. So you do have to keep that in mind. So basically, the whole summary, or to sum it up, the big takeaway is you want to see what controller you're on, or what controller settings you're on if you're on Legacy, exponential, and linear, and you want to specifically cater your playstyle to the settings or the aim assist that you have. You want to completely cater your playstyle to the settings that you have. And so that way, it's going to allow you to be much more consistent with your shots. So you don't have to worry. So that's kind of like the best way to put it, because you don't have to really work on a ton of mechanical stuff. Because if you're playing on linear and you're constantly going for mid-range shots, it just doesn't make any sense. Just switch to Legacy. You're going to like it much, much better. And it's going to allow you to hit way more shots. But if you're a type of player that maybe, in a squad game or duo game likes to go for a lot of mid, maybe longer range shots with an assault rifle, or you just like that auto rotation when you're ADSing, maybe you do ADS a lot with your shotgun as opposed to a lot of hip fire flick shots, then Legacy is again going to be your best move. So it 100% depends on your playstyle is kind of like my point. So depending on your playstyle should determine which settings that you play on, because I like them all. I think they're all very, very good, but they're good in their own ways. They're not all good at they're not all good at every single thing. So you have to keep that in mind greatly when you are choosing which settings to use, because you want to really look at your playstyle, and based on your playstyle, that's where you want to make the decision on exactly what settings are going to work best and what's going to be the best for you. And with that being said, that's wrap up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys found this very, very helpful, make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, turn on my post notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.